The Denver Broncos were supposed to be worried about Bo Nix, but after adding Jalen Waddle to Sean Payton's offense, this no longer looks like panic. It looks like a warning shot to the entire AFC. If Nix is healthy, Denver isn't chasing the Chiefs anymore. They're coming to make the AFC West regret doubting him.
Number 5.
Denver upgraded Davis Webb, offensive coordinator. A lot of people were interested. They trade for Jalen Waddle to ensure Bo Nix continued growth. They were the number 1 seed last year. Okay, now the Raiders will be better in division, and so will the Chargers. I don't know if they'll be the number 1 seed, but they went and got Jonah Coleman. They went and got another running back with Harvey. So listen, obviously, Sean Payton knows quarterbacks and has a lot of leverage like a Ben Johnson when it comes to building this team through the draft. They've got a stacked offense. Also last year, tremendous pass rush, big home field advantage early in the season in the altitude. I have Denver at 5. I mean, they're just different levels. So I don't need Caleb Williams to complete 68% of his throws. I can live with 62.5. He's just different. He does things nobody else can do. Same with Josh Allen. He just does stuff nobody else can do. I need Bo Nix to complete 67% of his throws. He can do some cool stuff. He's not that.
And again, if he's under siege, that team is going to have a tough time winning playoff games, winning the division, winning anything important.
On to the Broncos now, where 4 of their 7 draft picks were on the offensive side of the ball. You got to assume Bo Nix is going to be back and healthy from that ankle injury. Did they do enough to build around him, Ryan?
And look, this is sort of an unfair question to ask, and I'm asking it, not you, Tiffany. I don't want you to catch any heat on this. But I only say that because of all the other players that we've talked about previously. The Raiders are even better with their quarterback situation. They're not going to be in the mix to win that division. But obviously Kansas City and the Chargers. And I think Breach is sleeping on the Chargers a little bit. The issue with Denver is this. Bo Nix is coming off the injury, and he had a lot to prove last year, even though he played really well. It is hard to overlook, though, the fact that they got Jalen Waddle, who is a first-round pick several times over for only the value of their 2026 first-round pick. That's noteworthy. They also got better in terms of the defensive line with Tyler Onyedem there. You see the first pick. Jonah Coleman is going to hit the ground running. Justin Jolie is an upgraded version of Evan Ingram in terms of an athletic tight end, and then Red Murdoch is going to be a demon on special teams and a 2-down linebacker ability there with Mr. Irrelevant. So at the end of the day, John, the question becomes this. Can Bo Nix get this team over the hump? And he got hurt, unfortunately, late last season, and I just wonder in this division if he's going to be good enough against the other quarterbacks that we spend so much time talking about.
Yeah, and is Bo Nix even healthy? He's going back to see his doctor this week and had a checkup. Is he going to be ready for training camp? But yes, the Broncos, I think, are on paper the best team in the AFC West. Ryan said I'm sleeping on the Chargers. I have a 20-month-old here, Ryan. I don't ever sleep. So who are you trying to fool? But the Broncos, when you look at Denver, I do think from top to bottom, they have the best roster in the AFC West. You look at their offense, I thought the biggest hole was probably at wide receiver, but then they went out and made a trade for Jaylen Waddle. And you go to defense, and I feel like the place where they still need to add some depth is at inside linebacker. We saw some of their key additions there. They re-signed Justin Sternad and Alex Singleton, the 2 guys who are slotted in as the starters at inside linebacker. But Singleton's 32 years old. Sternad wasn't a full-time starter last year. And so throwing those 2 guys together, and you don't have a lot of experience behind them. So when you look at the Broncos, and I am really nitpicking here because all I'm saying is they just need to add some depth at the position, but otherwise this roster looks pretty solid.
3 teams, just that I'm really loving right now. And I know it's optimism time, right? Everybody thinks they're going to win the Super Bowl. But I do like what the Broncos have going on, and we have to talk about it. They inexplicably have, as per usual, year in, year out, 9.5 is disrespectful on FanDuel Sportsbook. I don't know what you overlords are doing sleeping at the wheel over there, but, I don't even know. I don't know what to say about it. That's crazy. They're getting the 3rd best odds in the division. Scoozy? Wild. Let's take a look. I know the division is stacked, and I think the Chiefs will bounce back. But the thought that this team won't win 10 games is a slap in the face. One that you have the glove on and you slowly take the pinky glove and and you smack the person. That's what this feels like to me if you're a Broncos fan. I think that this is the most complete roster, top to bottom, maybe in the NFL right now. There's continuity. The only real need they had going into the draft, interior D-line, right? Running back depth was a question I've badgered here on the program for an hour every day. Didn't they address both of those? Yes. So what aren't we excited about? Jaylen Waddle, huge addition. What he can do with the yak, the middle stuff, like, you know, what are we worried about? Are we worried about Bo? What are we worried about? I don't think we've seen Bo's best football because he didn't have a guy like Waddle, and now he does. And I don't think we've seen the best Waddle because I don't know that he had the best situation down there in Miami. This is a beautiful skill set, vertical threat. It all makes sense. And I won't be surprised if he puts up career highs across the board. I'll go here, like 1,400 yards. Is that crazy? Double-digit scores for Jaylen Waddle. And they were the number 1 seed in the AFC last year without him. Dost thou forget? 14 wins. 14 wins. And likely would have gone to a Super Bowl if Bo doesn't get hurt. And I guess how those like drums. And a snowstorm to boot. I do think this team is prepared to crush this year. I hope Casario's not listening to this. He's like barfing on the side in the bag about all this love for a AFC foe.
The Denver Broncos were supposed to be the team everybody questioned. The team with the injured quarterback. The team that supposedly had to worry. The team odds makers still dared to disrespect with a 9-5 win total. Even after a 1-4 win season and the no. 1 seed in the AFC. But now, that panic is starting to look ridiculous. Because while the rest of the NFL was whispering about Bo Nix's ankle, Denver quietly built one of the most dangerous rosters in football. They added speed. They added violence. They added depth. And most importantly, they added Jaylen Waddle. A true explosive weapon who can change the entire shape of Sean Payton's offense. This is no longer just a comeback story. This is a warning. If Bo Nix is healthy, the AFC West may not belong to Kansas City by default anymore. The Broncos are not asking for attention. They are forcing the league to look. But before we talk about Waddle, we have to talk about why the Bo Nix panic may have been completely overblown. Here is the number that changes everything: 6 points. Before Bo Nix was ruled out against Buffalo, Denver vs. 5-point favorite. After the injury news, that line flipped to the Broncos becoming 4-5-point underdogs. That is a 6-point swing. That is not just fan emotion. That is the market telling you exactly how important Bo Nix is to this football team. In the NFL, quarterbacks are measured by impact. Names like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and Joe Burrow move numbers because their teams collapse without them. So when Bo Nix moves Denver by 6 points, the message is simple. The Broncos are not just better with him. Their entire ceiling depends on him. That is why one report about a cleanup procedure caused chaos. People acted like Denver's season was falling apart before it even started. But a cleanup procedure does not automatically mean disaster. It can be serious. Or it can be part of normal recovery. And then Bo Nix gave the answer without saying a word. He posted himself moving, throwing, and sprinting. No panic. No limp. No fear. That was not just a workout clip. That was a message to the league: I'm not broken. And if Bo Nix is really coming back strong, then Denver just gave him the exact weapon this offense was missing. This is the move that should terrify defensive coordinators. The Broncos went out and traded for Jaylen Waddle, a former first-round receiver with real game-breaking speed. In the file, the point is clear. Denver gave up the value of its 2026 first-round pick. But the reason is obvious. They are not waiting. They are attacking now. Waddle is not just another wide receiver. He is a field tilter. He can turn a short throw into a long touchdown. He can win vertically. He can destroy pursuit angles. He can force safeties to play deeper, which opens the middle of the field for Bo Nix, and that is the scary part. Maybe we have not seen the best of Bo Nix yet because he did not have a weapon like Waddle. And maybe we have not seen the best of Waddle because Miami was no longer the perfect situation for him. Now, put that speed inside Sean Payton's system. Put it in Denver's altitude. Put it next to a team that already won 14 games without him. Suddenly, this is not just an upgrade. This is an offensive explosion waiting to happen. But Denver did not only attack through one blockbuster trade. Their draft showed the same message: build around Bo. And build to win now. The Broncos had 7 draft picks. And 4 of them were on offense. That tells you everything. This was not random. This was a front office, making sure Bo Nix has support. The file mentions Jonah Coleman, a running back expected to hit the ground running. It mentions Justin Joe Lee, an athletic tight end upgrade. It mentions Red Murdoch, a special teams demon with 2-down linebacker ability. And on defense, Denver also added help on the interior defensive line with Tyler Onyedem. This is how serious teams build. They do not just chase headlines. They patch weaknesses. They add speed. They add physicality. They protect the quarterback's growth. Sean Payton knows quarterbacks. He knows when a young quarterback needs structure, rhythm, and weapons. And Denver gave Bo Nix exactly that. But there is still one concern: inside linebacker depth. The file points out that Alex Singleton is 32 years old. Justin Stronad was not a full-time starter last season. And there is not much proven experience behind them. That does not destroy the roster. But it is the one area opponents will test. So Denver looks complete. But not perfect. Dangerous. But not untouchable. And that makes the pressure even bigger. And that is why the 9-5 win projection feels less like analysis and more like disrespect. A 9-5 win total for this team feels like an insult. This is a team that won 14 games. This is a team that was the No. 1 seed in the AFC. This is a team that added Jaylen Waddle, reinforced the roster, and still has one of the strongest home field advantages in football. So, why is the number still sitting under 10? Yes, the AFC West is brutal. The Chiefs are still dangerous. The Chargers are rising. The Raiders may be better. But Denver is not a cute underdog anymore. This is a real roster with real power, and if you are a Broncos fan, you should not just feel optimistic. You should feel disrespected, because the league is acting like last season was a fluke, like Bo Nix cannot repeat it, like Sean Payton does not know how to develop a quarterback, like Waddle will not change the offense. That is the challenge. That is the conflict. That is what makes this season feel dangerous. The Broncos are either being overhyped, or the rest of the NFL is refusing to admit they are already back. And the belief is not only inside the locker room. Broncos country is acting like it already knows what is coming. Here is another number that matters: 99.5% season ticket renewal. That is not casual hope. That is belief. Broncos fans are looking at this team and saying, "We are not leaving our seats." They see Bo Nix. They see Jalen Waddle. They see Sean Payton. They see a defense that can rush the passer. They see Mile High Stadium becoming a nightmare again, and that home field advantage is real. The altitude wears teams down. The noise breaks communication. The crowd turns pressure into chaos. This team feels like unfinished business. They were close. They were wounded. They were doubted. Now they are loading up again. And for the audience watching, here is the real question. Are you still worried about Bo Nix? Or are you watching the beginning of a Broncos storm? Because if Nix is healthy, if Waddle unlocks the offense, and if Payton has this roster ready, Denver is not just trying to make the playoffs. They are trying to make the AFC pay. And that brings us to the final truth. Denver has talent. But now comes the pressure. The Broncos have no more excuses. They have the quarterback who moved the market by 6 points. They have the receiver who can flip the field in one play. They have the coach who knows how to build around quarterbacks. They have a fan base fully locked in. They have the memory of 14 wins, the pain of falling short, and the anger of being doubted again. But that is the burden now. When you look this good on paper, nobody wants excuses. Not about the ankle. Not about the division. Not about pressure. Bo Nix does not need to be Patrick Mahomes. He does not need to be Josh Allen. But he does need to be accurate, calm, and ready. The file makes the point clearly. Denver may need Bo closer to 67% completion, because his job is not chaos. His job is control. That is the difference between a good story and a Super Bowl threat. So now, the NFL waits. Was the Bo Nix panic real? Or was it just noise before the storm? Because if Denver walks into this season healthy, with Jalen Waddle flying downfield and Sean Payton calling the shots, the Broncos may not just prove people wrong, they may make the entire AFC regret laughing. Broncos country. Be honest, are you still worried about Bo Nix? Or is this the year Denver finally makes the league pay attention again? Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.